Hey everybody, welcome to the Millennium Beat. I'm your host Kevin James. Glad that you stopped in today. Today we have an interesting show with Hannah Culver. Hannah is going to be a missionary. She's done a little missionary work already. She has the desire. She's young, and it's great to see young people do some awesome things in the future. So that's pretty cool. She is the daughter of used to be a youth pastor, and he's a traveling speaker today. And her mother is a worship leader for a church, and has been a worship leader for a good amount of time, off and on for the last multi-years. So let's get into the show, but let's first have a word from our sponsor.
I would like to thank McLeod Painting Group of Vero Beach, Florida for sponsoring this week's show. They specialize in interior and exterior painting. They are licensed and insured with over 45 years of experience, expanding over 3 generations. Give them a call at 772-501-0324 and tell them that Kevin James sent you. Again, that number is 772-501-0324.
Thanks for sticking around. If you'd like to know more about how to become a sponsor, please email me at kevinjames@themillenniumbee.com. And I will fill you in on how to become a sponsor. You can also go to our website at www.tmb2000.net or themillenniumbee.com. So let's get into the message, but first, let's have a brief 60-second intro.
Welcome to the Millennium Beat. This is your host, Kevin James. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming back. I'm in the studio today with Hannah Culver.
Hi.
Hi. I was telling Hannah in the beginning, I've done youth, I've worked with the youth and stuff like that, and we've had youth in the Spanish show, but we've really not had on the English version had anybody that's youth. I say youth, and I know females don't like telling your age, but you're young, so you usually don't have a problem with it. How old are you?
About to turn 20.
Wow, 20 years old. I don't remember my 20th. I don't.
I hope I don't remember mine.
Yeah, you remember certain key birthdays. I don't remember my 16th. Yes, I do. You know why I remember that? I was in school. I was a freshman in high school, and I got my learner's permit on my 16th birthday because the school had a driver's ed program.
Oh, that's nice.
And they said, hey, you want to join? So I actually got my learner's permit on my 16th birthday.
Oh, that's nice.
So I do remember that. And I think it was a Wednesday. I don't know why I remember that, but and then we had to wait in Massachusetts 6 months. Then we can set up the appointment. So it was like August sometime when I got my license. And I do remember going to pick up a buddy of mine, and his mother wouldn't let him go with me.
I would not blame her.
Yes,
That'd be my mom.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I can understand it. I mean, I remember when I first started driving that anytime a car came at you, I slowed down and I pulled to the right a little bit. Let it pass
my
me.
dad would always be like, don't pull over to the right. You got to stay to the left.
Yeah, well, you don't want to, you get nervous.
Not into the other person.
Yeah, you don't want to go in that lane.
You don't want to get off into the...
Yeah, but it was always weird because I was driving and a car come and I just moved over. I didn't go far, but I just moved a little bit over and then it passed and I moved back again. And so, I mean, you do remember some things. As I said, I remember my 16th because of the license.
Yeah.
My 18th because it was like 20 below zero. I was on a golf course skiing up in Massachusetts. I took a bus.
That's nice.
Yeah, but it was cold.
Yeah.
It was very cold. And
worth it.
21st birthday, no clue. Don't remember what I was doing. I think my 24th birthday, I remember I was in Boca Raton, Florida. I was for the first time in Florida. My 30th, I was up in New Hampshire, working.
Oh,
I think, no, yeah,
maybe.
something like that. I don't know. Well, 30th,
Around there.
yeah, well, is that 2000? No, that was not 2000. It was 1993.
Wow. Yeah.
And then my 40th, I threw myself my own birthday party.
Wow.
Invited everybody, and we had a roast.
Nice.
And 50th, didn't have it, and my 60th didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, and the story is I wanted to have a game night here at the church and all that kind of stuff, and but because they're going to throw the Christmas party, he says, last year's Christmas party was so good, everybody had ball. I said, I can't. My birthday is like 18 days after, or 20 days after Christmas. So I said, people aren't going to want to go both. So, I said, no, I won't have one. And then they moved it to New Year's. They go, oh, we're going to have a New Year's party, and we're going to have a thing. And then that got canceled.
Never do it on a holiday.
Yeah. So they canceled that, and then so I end up. I don't know what I did on my 60th. I went down to Vero Beach.
Oh, nice.
And I had seafood. I like seafood. There's a place in Melbourne called New England Eatery. It's on A1A. You go to Melbourne a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's on A1A, and it used to be in Palm Bay, and they moved it to the on A1A, and it's so good. It has the real clams, not the clam strips that they give down here in Florida. The whole full clam.
Thing. Wow.
And the scallops were, people that are watching or listening can't see it, but it's like a big OK sign on your hand. That's how big the scallops were.
Wow, those are huge.
And the shrimp was really, the shrimp wasn't this little tiny rinky shrimp. It was
the big ones.
It was really the big
jumbo shrimp.
Yeah. And everything was good. I had cod or something like that, and that was okay.
Yeah.
But everything else was good. And they gave me a stuffed baked potato.
Yes.
And onion rings that were like this big.
Oh my gosh.
And we're probably making people hungry here.
Right. Making me hungry.
And I put it in a dish to go home, and I put it on the table in my wallet, and I grabbed my wallet and walked out, and we got in the car, and a friend of mine, and we just drove down the road, and I go, I know I'm forgetting something.
No.
And I go, I forgot the food.
Turn back around.
Well, it was just the baked potato and onion rings. Now, if it was the fish, I would have gone back. Because, it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
So it was really good. So, well, that's enough about me. Let's talk to you. That's why I had you here. I wanted to have you on here a few months ago, and then we just finally got a chance to do this.
Yep.
And when this is airing, this is probably going to be airing. Right now, it's March. Actually, I used to be that far apart. Now I'm again close. So this is like the second week of April.
Oh, okay.
I think it'll be here. So it's only like a month away. So
nice.
So people will be listening to it. So tell me about yourself. Okay, your name is Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
Not Hannah, it's Hannah.
Yep.
Just in case I accidentally, people probably might, find out. And do you ever get mixed up with like Hannah Montana or whatever her name is?
All the time when I was younger, for sure.
Yeah.
Lots of Hannah Montana.
Do you know where your name came from?
The Bible.
I thought you were going to say that. So you come from a very, not religious in a negative sense, but you come from a spiritual sense.
Yeah.
Tell me a little about your parents before we get into you.
Oh, they're a little crazy, but
all right.
Good.
No comment.
No comment. No comment.
No comment.
Well, I know my dad was born and raised in Georgia, and my mom,
we won't hold that against them.
No, right. He's a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, right.
My mom was born up in the north. I'm not quite sure because she moved a lot when she was younger.
Yeah.
So her dad was actually a pastor as well. So he traveled around a lot. So they lived all the way.
Was it? You mean moved from church to church, or was he like an evangelist?
Evangelist.
Okay,
pastor.
so a traveling pastor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she lived in Pennsylvania and Minnesota and Colorado and places like that. So I can't give you a.
Yeah, we'll leave that for her story.
Right.
I'm just trying to get
she can give you a
brief view of where your parents came from.
Yeah.
And okay, as you said, your grandfather was a pastor, because that's her parents were.
I'm not quite sure about my mom's father's father.
Right.
But I've never really heard much about that side of the family. I've heard a lot more about her aunts and mother's side. So
her aunts.
Yeah, her aunts.
You know what's funny? I don't know if you see this as youth. This is you're going to be turning 20. Is is lost a little bit about generational stuff. Not like it was in the Bible. That's how they passed on information.
Right.
Stories after stories from generation to generation. Now they don't do that.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a lost culture.
it is. I mean, it's exciting to see someone that's young that will care about their ancestors.
Oh, I do. I do care about that.
And, you know, I think a lot of what we become is because of them. I mean, like my family, I have no, other than Catholics, I have no Christian background. It was me getting saved when I was 18 years old. Then it started from there.
Right.
But my parents, my mother was a very strong Catholic, and I know where she is. My father died, unfortunately, when I was young. So it was a little bit different. But today it's lost. It really isn't. I mean, I have nephews that I had great nieces that didn't really even know much about me or my side of the family. They didn't care.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
They said, "Oh, you have an Uncle Kevin?" Okay.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Well, it happens a lot in big families, I think.
Yeah. I think it's because years ago, we all used to be in the same neighborhood. Sometimes some people in the same house.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandfather and stuff had this house, and they all grew up in the same house. They grew up, and then they moved, and they lived all in the same neighborhood. And it changed over years because now today, like my sister lives over on the west coast of Florida, you know, and then my brother lives in South Carolina somewhere, Anderson, South Carolina, I think. Then my other sister is up in Massachusetts, you know.
Hey, the west coast is close now.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, you don't know this, but we will in a second. My sister used to live upstairs above me.
Oh.
So her kids grew up is like knowing me.
Yeah.
Just like right now, they actually, he bought a house. My nephew has a couple kids. Actually, one just got married. Actually, she is older than you because you're going to be 20. She is now going to be 23 in September because she was born in 2000.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, but my point is my niece, which is my nephew's sister, lives downstairs. So she's growing up with them. But me, I've only seen them a few times. Yeah. You know, so we kind of lost that. So going back to your story with your parents and stuff, like father from Georgia, your mother's traveled a lot. Your father he has been a pastor.
Yeah. He's been many roles.
He's been many. He used to traveling. I always forget that word that they call it. He used it, so he knows what he is.
Right, he knows. At least he knows.
Not Ingrid. It's when itinerary preacher or something they call it.
Scheduled.
Yeah, that he goes and he speaks in different places and stuff like that, and he's very gifted in the prophetic prophet world. And your mother is a worship leader for Identity Church in Deltona, Florida.
She's been a worship leader for a long time.
So she was before she even came here.
Oh yeah, way before that. Yeah.
Right. So you have that background. What did I say? Okay, what was it like growing up as a young girl in that household?
Well, a lot of things have changed recently. Like we get older and healing and stuff like that from outside things and inside things. I think every family has, their own little tips.
Before we go a little deeper into that, let's talk about your siblings.
Oh,
okay, you're the oldest.
Yes, of 5.
Of 5. Yeah, 5. Because I remember, wasn't your dad used to say I used to have 5 kids under 5?
Yep.
Or
that's
something
it.
Like that?
Me and the youngest are 5 years apart. So
okay.
Yeah.
So it goes you as almost 20.
Yes.
Then you have your next sibling.
My brother, 18.
18. Now, is that the one that's going in the military?
Yes.
In the Navy?
Yes.
All right. Jonah, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, named after the guy in the fish.
Yes, another Bible.
Another Bible.
Another
so
Bible.
you have, Hannah and Jonah, and then, then this is the twins?
Yes, the twins, Gracie and Judah.
Grace.
I think they're 16.
Are they not? Okay.
I think 16, 17 this year.
Wow. Your dad is probably listening.
Yeah, 17 because we're 3 years apart.
All right.
Me and the twins.
All right. And then the youngest is?
Noah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another Bible.
Oh, look, a
it's
pattern.
Like, it's just like a pattern. Well, Gracie's not. I mean, I don't think that's Grace. Okay, Grace. Yeah.
They kind of made it more.
And what was the other one? Grace and?
Judah.
Okay, Judah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your dad and mother just like, okay.
Yeah, Bible, you can see what they love.
Yeah, which is good. which is good. So okay. So that's, you said 20 and the youngest is?
15.
15. So there's only, you're right, 5 years difference. Now that's not too bad. Mm-hmm. See, with my family, I'm the youngest and my sister's 12 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
And then there was and then between me and my brother is 6 years. Then from there was, I can't remember. So 6, so half is 12 is 6.
Yeah.
So from him to her is 6, but there was 2 other people in the middle there.
Oh.
So it was like kid,
break,
me. I always used to say in my family, I grew up an only child of 5.
Oh.
Because they're
already out of the
they're
house.
already out of the house. When my sister was taking care of me when I was born, because she was 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And her pet peeve was, they go, oh, he's a cute little kid. Is he yours? No, he's my brother. I always tell that story.
You should have made her a shirt.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. This is not my kid. This is my brother. That would have been a good shirt. But yeah, I mean, she took care of me for a while. And her husband, at that time, boyfriend, and became fiance. They were, because again, she was, 12, 13, I was always around.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know my brother-in-law more than I know my own brother. Because he's been around since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So you grew up. Now, did you grow up close to your siblings?
I think we always grew up close, but we had big differences when we were
personality-wise.
Yeah, personalities were a lot stronger when we were younger. But as we got older, we kind of banded together.
Okay.
We moved a lot, so that kind of made us.
Now, speaking of moving, you were in Georgia before you moved to Florida.
Yes, I was born there.
And I've been here for 7, so it's not been 7. It's been 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, about 5
years. Time just flies because I just remember. I don't remember you guys because, again, I don't really deal with the youth and deal with videos and stuff. But I do remember your dad coming in and preaching.
Yeah.
But that was like 5 years ago. Wow. So typical. I'm closer to my sister, my oldest sister, than I am my other brother and my other sister.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Right.
That's how families are.
Yeah. Some people click. Some people.
So out of the other 4, is there any? Well, 2 of them are twins. Is there any of them? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot here.
Well, we can't.
This is my favorite kid, brother.
I'll tell you who's my favorite.
Okay.
My favorite right now is my sister. Mainly because
Grace.
Grace.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just the only 2 girls, so we share a room. So we're close in that. We shared a room for a long time, but I think just because we're closer in age now and mentally we just click a little bit better than the boys.
Okay. But
when I was younger, I wasn't really close with any of my siblings because they kind of just got on my nerves.
They got on your nerves.
So.
Well, at least, especially boys, they can really.
Yeah. They're hard to get along with.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're a little rough.
Yeah. See, as I said, I was an only child. I mean, not the only child. I'm the youngest child. So my brother, when he was 6 years older than me, he had the room. We had a 3-decker house. And,
oh, wow. Yeah.
And it, at one time was owned by a banker. So they had an upper room, then had a middle room for a maid, and then our rooms downstairs. So when he got his age, he got the big room. It was like living on his own, up on the 3rd floor. Yeah, I mean, he didn't have a bathroom, and he still had to come down and do that kind of stuff. But, so, and I got along with my other brother, who unfortunately passed away when I was, I think, 12 or something like that. So, but siblings, yes, they can be a pain.
Yeah.
So now that you're getting older, they are a little bit more tolerable.
Yeah, they are.
So
mentally the same.
Right.
All of us. Yeah.
All right. So we know kind of a little bit was life growing up with your 4 brothers and sisters. Sister.
Yeah.
There's 3 boys and 1 girl.
Yes.
And then you.
Yeah.
So actually, it's 2 girls and 3 boys.
She's pretty much a tomboy at this. She's always been like that. She was closer to my third oldest brother. Not her twin, but not the youngest, but second.
Second from the bottom.
They were really close. I think they have similar personality and interests and stuff. So they were closer when they were younger, really close.
Okay.
So she kind of grew up with that kind of image. And so she's like our 4th brother. So. Not in a rude way. She's
I know.
Feminine.
Right. But she's, still.
But she's rough.
Rough. Yeah. She's not a little, she's not what they call a dainty, a fur.
Tomboy.
She's a fluffy girl, I can't get my,
right. She's not
cool.
that type. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your life from the time you were born. And we talked about your siblings and stuff like that. And you grew up in a home that your mother is a worship leader. Your dad is a prophet, a prophetic person, a speaker, travels and does some stuff. What was life on the Christian side of life? Because I know they were Christians, but what about you? What was happening? I mean, you weren't born just because you come from a parent that's Christian doesn't make you a Christian.
Yeah.
You have to decide that on you. So tell us a little bit about that journey, that from the time that you were born and became aware of stuff. What was it like? What was going on in your head? What made you make the decision to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior?
Well, I know when I was growing up, what I was born into was my parents had been doing a no media fast for up to like maybe 3 or 5 years before I was born.
Okay.
So I was born into that, like if you know, like International House of Prayer.
IHOP.
Yeah. So they watched that
Kansas City.
That's literally all they watched.
Right.
And then they, excuse me, they read their Bible, and that's pretty much all they did.
Okay.
So I was born into that kind of atmosphere. So when I was younger, it was a lot of spiritual activity because that's all they fed off of. There wasn't nothing else for them to get distracted by or like allow into their house. So I don't remember too much, but I've seen pictures and I've heard stories and stuff like that of a lot of like angelic activity. And I feel like as I get older, I have those. I'm not like, when I was growing up, I wasn't afraid of stuff like that happening. I was more accustomed to it, I think.
It was natural.
Right. I was born. It was a natural reaction, like being born into something like that. So lots of spiritual activity. I don't remember much about the place I was born, because I was so young. Yeah. And it wasn't long, and we moved a lot. So there's not a lot of like time for me to
places
get used
that you
to.
put your roots down.
Right. And so when you're moving so much, there's not a lot of stories that I can remember of like being in a house, and like, what did the walls look like, and what happened in the kitchen, and that kind of stuff. And so when
you travel like that, I mean, I understand when I was a kid, I could remember things like my mother almost burning down the house because you left the candle burning and it melted the plastic and everything was soot everywhere.
Wow.
Those kind of things I remember because I lived in that house, I don't know, many years.
Yeah.
I mean, I've, but since then I've lived in, but same way,
Yeah.
once you travel like that, it's hard to remember.
I think like, it's, for instance, like that you can remember that happening, like what was like the stages after that and the stages happening while it was going on. But when you're moving, it's kind of less like the stages of what it was like in the house, but like the core memories of what it was like in the house. So like for instance, when I was maybe like 5 or 6, we lived on this house on a hill, and my mom had all the windows and doors open because it was nice outside. And a hummingbird came and flew into the house, and she grabbed the broom and she was like, "Get out of the house!" and like smacking at it.
That was better than a bat waiting to fly in our house.
And we didn't live, yeah, exactly. And we didn't live in there that long, but just because that was such like a core memory with me.
A vivid memory.
Yeah, so I just remember it like very strongly.
It's funny how we remember things, because like we'll get into the spiritual good stuff.
Yeah.
I remember I was a kid. I don't know how old I was. I know I was sleeping in a bunk bed, and I must have just watched The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So the scarecrow came after me. I mean, I literally remember looking up, and the scarecrow was standing at my door.
Yeah.
And what do kids do? They put their sheets over their head.
Yeah.
And I could feel straw.
Oh, no.
going on my. It was not there, but it was like literally I could still see.
Kids' imagination.
I could still see it right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see the place I was, the bedroom I was in, where the bed was. It was a bunk bed. I don't know why I had bunk beds.
For some reason, it just sets in with you.
Yeah, things like that set in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, certain memories.
Interesting memories we choose to keep.
Yeah. It's weird how it's like they're stamped into our brain.
Right.
I mean, good or bad.
Impact. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about, while we're talking about young spiritual, not the negative, demonic things. I don't want to try. I want to accent that. I want to accent the positive.
Oh boy.
Could you remember anything when you were younger? Because you said you came into a very spiritual world in a sense when you were born and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember any encounters that you had at a young age?
Nothing major. I don't really remember like too much. I think I was just fighting to like, in a big house and like lots going on. You're kind of just fighting to like stay alive.
Yeah. See, I don't understand that because, again, as I said, I grew up an only child of 5, but I was at the bottom. Everybody else was out of the house.
Right.
I mean, as I said, when I was 12, my sister was married and she was 12 and 12 is 24. So she's 24.
Yeah.
she was gone. Yeah. And then my other sister was right before, probably 22 or 23.
Yeah.
And then my brother was, 6 years. So he's 18.
Right.
He was gone.
Yeah.
So I was home by myself.
Yeah. So you had time to like.
So as I said, that's why I always say I was an only child of 5 because I really didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, with those people, my brothers and sisters, those people.
Those people, the distance.
So, all right. Well, as I said,
Well, I mean, but nothing like crazy. Like, I can't. If there were dreams or there were times that he was speaking to me, I think that it kind of just fell back into the back of my mind because I can remember his presence. God, I'm gonna clarify that.
Yeah, right.
I can remember his presence in my household, but I think it was just like the stress of being born into such a big family and like so much was happening with. I think spirituality, we always kind of had like a sensitive spirit. So like if there was something off about like what was going in the house or what was going outside, like in like with my parents' relationships with people or like people's relationships with us, I think we were all kind of sensitive to that. So it kind of got lost into that, like, making sure like what's going on, you want to stay on track and kind of stuff like that. But I do remember like my first angel that I saw. I think I was maybe 8. I know I was in about 3rd grade, so around that time. It's all kind of glumped together. I'm just 10 throughout the whole thing.
That's fine.
But I think we were in the hallway. I mean, it wasn't really a hall. We called it a ha because it wasn't like a long hallway. It was like half a hallway.
So it didn't get the privilege of having the L's.
It was the ha.
It was a ha.
We still refer to it.
If it was longer, it would have been a hall.
The hall.
Yeah.
But it was the hall.
It was a ha.
Yeah. So yeah, I was walking and I saw like a glimpse of a white just going along the base of like the floor. So I remember that. I didn't hear nothing. I didn't like feel nothing, but I saw it, and I've seen like angels around the car and stuff like that and that kind of thing, but nothing like, like if you ever talk to my dad, he has a mature spirit.
A spiritual, yeah. Well, it's funny how you talked about that. That is like, I understand with your dad's story and stuff like that. I wish I could say I could see angels, and I don't think I recall in my 60 years of recalling angels. Unfortunately, because of an intercessor and a prayer warrior and stuff like that, I have seen the demonic world quite often. I can look out. I've seen it. I can still see it in my head. One time I was looking out at a mall, and then there was demonic forces that were tall, all covered in black, and they were walking, and they had their hand on the person's shoulder, and they were following them. Oh, wow. I could see that. And the few times I've sensed, I've seen buildings that I was praying for that I could see the demonic forces that were in there and stuff like that. So there's, so I remember those things. Do you recall, and I'll give you an example with my story, and then you can help you. Prophetically, I could remember my first prophetic dream that stands out. I was going to a church in Wellesley, Massachusetts. It was run by a millionaire from Amway, and the pastor was from Bangor, Maine, or somewhere in Maine. Yeah. Had a dream that night that he wasn't going to show up, and I was going to preach. I mean, I'm probably 18, 19 years old or something like that. So didn't tell anybody. And I got to church, and one of the ladies, I don't know who she was, a friend or somebody that was just going there, said to me, it looks like his name was Ted. It looks like Pastor Ted's not going to be here today, Kev. It looks like you're going to end up preaching. And it was exactly the dream. And I did preaching about relationship. And for 15 minutes, and then he finally showed up because it was like a 2 or 3 hour drive from his house to the church. Oh, wow. So he drove away to preach. But it was interesting. Now, that story still stands out in my mind, and that was the first prophetic thing that I started, getting aware that I was prophetic. But you got to remember, I just became a Christian when I was 18 years old. So when was it? I always say, when did you sign the dotted line? When did you really say? Was it gradually, or was there a clear moment? Do you remember that? Because a lot of times I remember when I accepted Christ. I remember when I can't tell you the date or time of when I was baptized in a swimming pool. Yeah. But I can tell you where it was, but I don't remember. Like what happened? I mean, it was at some hotel in New Hampshire or something like that. We were at an Amway thing. And it was 1981, Labor Day weekend that I accepted Jesus as Lord and Savior. So do you remember the date, or is it all blur together?
I want to say both because I remember being baptized, and I think I was baptized twice.
Okay.
So that's kind of interesting.
Like a Christian Baptist, not a Catholic Baptist.
No.
Not like,
yeah. Okay.
Because I was baptized when I was a baby because I was a Catholic. So they sprinkled. I got sprinkled on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little.
Yeah.
Dip the holy one.
Yeah. Like not like today where they have the tubs and the pools.
Right.
And stuff like that.
I think I would like to be rebaptized because the church we went to, they were a very religious kind of like.
Okay.
Not in a healthy way. It was more of a show.
Or basic rules and regulations.
Yeah, so it was definitely a show production for them. And I didn't realize it until I got older because I was like 10. So I was just like, okay, let me just hang out with my friends, and the church was huge. So we played like a lot of hide and seek and that kind of stuff. So that was my like
I'm not used to big churches. I think the biggest I've ever been to is like 1,000-seater.
Oh, I think ours was
as a main church.
I think ours was like 3,000, 5,000. So it was a mega size church, if you will. It had its own lot. And
I've been to churches, like I've been to Rodney Howard-Browne's church. I've been over the one over in Fort Myers because there's a thing called Master's Commission. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Basically, it's like Morning Star.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like that, but it's a lot of college-age career. You go work for a church and you do stuff and mission trips and stuff like that.
Okay, gotcha.
It's now they do it is circuit riders.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Circuit riders
they do the garage session.
Yeah, and my friend Lucas is in the circuit riders, and he's a worship leader in Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and he teaches worship leaders and circuit riders and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, awesome.
But we remember those kind of things, the baptism and, the day that we accepted.
It was a big
Lord.
deal for that church.
Yeah.
We did it. They had the bathtub in the sanctuary, and there was 2 balcony like sanctuary.
Oh, wow.
So like everyone's like up in the balcony watching you, and your parents are right there, and like they have like the choir going, and you're just like, what is going on? It's a very big like production. They got people in the back, and there's like a door leading out. And, it was it was a lot.
That's a lot.
And I'm just 10. Like my parents want me to do
I don't even remember being 10, so I can't tell you anything going on then.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, not because it was 50 years ago, but it's just nothing really stood out. I mean, other than I had a birthday party and nobody showed up. I remember that. Yeah. That was a traumatic thing.
Yeah.
Things like that. But again, from 0 to 18. I was a Catholic, but I didn't really have a relationship with Christ. Right. So all that kind of stuff, and all the way through high school, I mean, it was basically almost my whole high school. Yeah. Before I I was a freshman. I was 16, so it was probably my senior year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 81 because I graduated in 82. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
So. All right, so you kind of blended in, and I understand that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I do remember my father like setting me down when I was maybe like 12, 13.
Okay. And
he was like, listen, you can't have a relationship with me or with the Lord through me.
Right.
So he sat me and my brother down. We were both around. We were like 13 and 12. And he was like, y'all are getting to the point where you're making your own minds up about things. You have your own opinions, that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm just thinking what it's funny, not to cut you off there,
you're fine.
But you think about it in America, like, oh, you're young. You're only 12 or 13.
Right.
But in the old days, in the days of Jesus and Mary and Joseph, Mary was probably 13 years old when she had she had Jesus.
The coming of age.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like when we here in America, we still think that's why some terminology you're not like a teenager. They consider you a teenager, but you're a young adult.
Yeah.
You're not an adult. You're not a kid.
Right.
At that 13, I mean, a lot of people. And in a lot of cultures, you become a man at 13 and a woman at 13.
Yeah. I don't think the time he chose was kind of random because it felt random to me, but because it probably felt random to me, it's because he was planning it.
Right.
And he didn't let us know like this was going to be happening. But yeah, he just sat us down, was like, you can come to church with us, but you can't let your relationship with God be through me. Like you can't let my salvation be your salvation.
Right. And there's no grandchildren in the heavenly
realm. So he's like, you're gonna have to start praying on your own, start cultivating your relationship with God on your own, and establish a communication with Him on your own. I can pray for you, and we can have like sit downs, and we can do that kind of thing, and have a communion with each other. But you can only have your relationship with God.
Right.
separate from
right.
mine.
Because
So.
there's no grandchildren.
Right.
God doesn't have grandchildren. He only has children.
So I would say that's the time that I
Okay.
kind of started like thinking about that. And
Well,
making
we
an
know
effort.
for sure. I mean, I don't know a lot about you. I mean, as I said, I'm working a lot, and I don't really pay attention to a lot of stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
Even though I see things, I just don't.
Yeah.
But I do know that it was a right decision because I know a little bit about your life and what you've done a little bit so far.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get into that in a few minutes. But so that was a good thing. So
yeah.
Ron,
Very
Stephanie, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, 1 star for you.
Yeah, 1 star for you, but you did a really good job.
You're getting there.
You're getting there. So okay, so you kind of went into that. You kind of had that talk. Was it both your parents or just your dad?
Yeah, I remember my mom said
some stuff too.
There, yeah.
Okay, so she was
in
there.
agreement.
Well, it was good.
Yeah, glad they're on the same page.
Yeah, I'm glad they're on the same page, right? Okay, so things started changing, in that sense. But where did you really start feeling? Because the Spirit started to fill you, and did you start sensing some things, or you still, because you're a kid? Did nothing changed for a little while?
Nothing changed for a very long
time.
I think I was just, I don't know. I don't give much thought into things. I kind of just do it. When I feel like it. If there's important, I mean, it is. I'm not saying it's not important, but when you're a kid, it's hard to grasp that.
Right.
Like I don't really start understanding like the pastor speaking until maybe like 3 years ago, like actually fully understanding what he's saying and like being like, yes, okay, I get it.
It's revelation. It's funny. I was just watching Chosen, the series,
yeah.
and I have the first season on Blu-ray, so I'm watching every episode.
Nice.
I was watching an episode with Peter. I don't remember the title. It was like the build this house on this rock or something like that.
Yeah.
So Peter was out there trying to get fishing, and he couldn't get any fish.
Yeah.
But he was kind of making a deal with the Romans to trade in some.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And I didn't realize this. Now, whether this is biblical or if this was just added something
Like
that Jerry Jenkins added to it, is Peter, the Roman, was mad that he kind of didn't tell him on his fellow fishermen because he kind of said, "Oh yeah, no, we didn't hit a sandbar," and he was mad. So the Roman was mad, so he cut his ear. I go. Because if you jump forward, which we don't know in the videos yet, but we know in the Bible, when Jesus was taken, what did Peter do to the Roman? He cut his ear. So, whether that's something that Dallas added or if it's something where they found in Scripture that, but that brought that back together again.
Right.
Something, but again, it was like an aha moment.
Right.
Oh, I never realized that before.
Yeah.
So you're starting to have those type of moments.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, it kind of, oh yeah, that's kind of sinking in.
Yeah.
That revelation.
Right. I go back to my thoughts a lot, like my memories a lot recently.
Okay.
Especially since my trip. I've been like seeing the foreshadowing of things. So I like it. It's kind of God's way of talking to me. He's bringing back things that I remember and be like, I already spoke this into your life, like way before then.
And he brings it back to your forefront.
Put into life.
He's planted a seed, and now he's like, hey, remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, look at this,
All right. So those are kind of things that are happening. You're getting a spiritual sense, an aha moments of things. You're growing and stuff like it. What else was God doing in your life? And as I said, we're not talking many years. We're talking less than 10 years. What was the path a little bit like? I mean, because you said for a while there you weren't
up, down.
I hate this. I'm not saying a typical teenager,
right?
Because in our world, what teenagers have fun. They like doing stuff. They go out with their friends.
Conflicted.
Yes. Yeah. There were also, we talk about hormone changes and stuff like that. Yeah. Get that going on, and then also other things.
Yeah.
It is. Again, I was 18, so I was already past that stage.
Right.
I also hung around 18 to something. I was hanging around millionaires.
Yeah.
I didn't really hang around. I didn't party. I didn't do all this kind of stuff.
Right, me too.
So it wasn't in my nature.
Yeah.
And even today, it still isn't.
Yeah. I'm not much of a partier either.
Yeah.
But I did have like my own personal preferences or like interests.
Okay.
That I didn't line up with God's will of what He wanted done. But I think that was just me like getting it all out.
Right.
Just like get it all out.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure God was like, come on, like, I got plans for you. Like,
right.
Get on it. But I think, I'm not saying it was good that I was rebellious. I'm putting up air quotes.
Air quotes, yeah.
But, having my own interests, it did allow me to cultivate my own type of personality. So I think there was some good.
You are you.
Yeah.
You're not Stephanie. You're not Ron.
Right.
You're Hannah.
So I think that there was some good things in that, but.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So where did you really start sensing, because I know it, I can see it prophetically, there was a call on your life that, at a young age. When did you really start sensing it? I'm sure you have sensed it.
I've sensed it for a long time.
Right.
I got a lot of words when I was younger, like baby.
Because you were in that realm.
Yes. Yeah. So I got lots of words, and I think that was always kind of spoken into my life. And I was always in the church, so there was always people that were being prophetic in that, and always saying stuff like, this is what he's going to do with you, and this is where he's taking you, But personally,
can that also annoy the heck out of you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think there was a season not too long ago where I was like, I don't want no one praying for me. I don't want anyone telling me where I'm gonna be or go or what he's planning for me. I just want silence. I want quiet.
You want him actually to tell you.
How about I tell you something?
Right.
Kind of moment. So yeah.
That's interesting. I speaking of that, I remember I was at Morning Star. You've heard of Morning Star.
Oh yeah, my parents.
Yeah, Rick Joyner's kid. We went to a prophetic group, and and they had, it was all adults, and then had a couple of young people, and Rick Joyner's daughter was in there, and so they gave words, and they, I go, thank you very much. I said, this is not normal protocol, but can I give you a word? I don't remember what the word was.
But she liked that.
But it was like different, it was, I was here to receive a word, but then also God gave me a word for them. So it was interesting. So basically you're getting a lot of words because you're in that environment. Again, I was young, so I didn't get that. I didn't get those things.
Yeah.
Was not in, no Catholic priest, had a word for me.
Right.
Other than I became a Christian and they wanted me to teach, they call it catechism or CCD. It's a big Bible study.
Oh, okay.
They wanted me to teach it. And I go, I don't think you would really agree with all the things I agree.
Listening very much.
No, well, it's not that. I became a born again believer, and it was different than the Catholic Church. Catholic Church was a lot at that. My church, I don't know, can't speak for all Catholic churches. Was the priest was the speaker, you were the listener, and that was it. There was no relationship with Jesus. Jesus was the guy on the cross.
The preacher.
Yeah, through the preacher, and it's the way you had to learn.
Yeah.
So and as a Christian, I was growing. I still was young, and I still was learning. But I knew something was different, and I didn't think I needed to be teaching because we'd have a problem.
It's so hard for me to understand because I feel like I can be a very open-minded person. And it's easy for me to put myself in other people's shoes, and understand where they come from. But I don't know. There's when I grew up in such that kind of state for so long, I think it's hard for me to fully understand how that affects a person or how that actually transcribed. So it's very interesting. I wanted later, but I would like to hear more about that kind of person, because you're saying, when did that start for you, or when did you feel that? It's it's always kind of been there,
Well, you grew up in a different environment.
Yeah.
I grew up as a Catholic little boy. Actually, I was an altar boy.
Oh, okay.
I didn't accept Christ until I went to an Amway convention who had a Sunday service, and for some reason I went down. I had a call to go down at 18 years old, actually I probably was 17 because I became 18 in January. So, but still it was different than, my parents weren't pastors. I didn't grow up in that realm.
Yeah.
Didn't have a lot of religious other than Catholic background.
Right.
So, we're just two different environments.
Yeah.
And we were raised two different ways. Mine was wrong or mine was right. Yours was right or yours was wrong.
Right, no.
It was just two different environments.
Yeah.
Yours worked out great for you, and hopefully it worked out.
See.
Well, I think it does.
Going good so far.
Yeah. So you're going in that transition, and we talked about, your baptism and your acceptance and how it went over time.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about, when you kind of felt God calling, you had words. But when was it the aha moment that you really, the light went on, and it's almost like a career, okay, I am going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a nurse. This is what I wanted to be. So in the Christian world, when did you really feel, when did that light bulb go on that, because you basically are called to be a missionary?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did that missionary light turn on?
Very recently.
Just recently? Okay.
Oh yeah, very, very recently. Just this past year when I took my big trip to Turkey. I did have a previous missionary trip, a little, I would like to call it my dipping my toe in kind of moment, with Karen, who goes to our church.
Right.
We took a trip to Haiti for 8 days.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes. I think that was 2019.
Was it right before the pandemic?
Yes, it was.
Because the pandemic is COVID-19.
It was my 10th grade year, so I remember what grade I was in, but I don't remember the exact year. But
if it had to be before the pandemic,
maybe 2017.
What was May?
June.
June. Okay, guys. The pandemic started January or February of the next year.
2019. It must have been 2017. Because I remember it wasn't close to the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah, because the pandemic threw everybody, all flights, everybody not traveling for almost 3 years.
Yeah, I would say 2017, 2018.
Okay.
That would be my rough.
I do recall something of it, but again, I wasn't paying attention.
It was a youth group thing.
Yeah.
My second brother.
Okay.
And 2 of our friends, a family that
went
to our church as well.
And you went to Haiti.
It was the 4 of us, 8 days.
Wow.
With Miss Karen.
So that was the kind of the fire starter.
Yeah, that trip was.
It planted the seed.
Yes, I enjoyed it. It was definitely very like what you would think of as a missions trip.
Mm-hmm.
It was very like.
You weren't staying in a 5-star suite hotel.
No, we were staying on a compound. No air conditioning. Yeah. Luckily, it was a good time of year. It wasn't humid like it is here.
See, I wouldn't do. I'm called the missions a little bit, but domestically, United States.
Definitely not me.
I don't have the. The bugs and the the AC,
the wiring, and
I don't like. I don't even like Florida. I can't. I like right now. What is it? It's 58 degrees outside. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just when I get the coach, it's going to be nice because I always say when I retire, if I ever do retire, I'm going to move like to North Carolina or Tennessee.
Oh, nice. I would love Tennessee.
Actually, I'm going to go up to a few times once I get the coaches. I'm going to take some vacations to Gatlinburg. Yeah. Or Pigeon Forge.
Oh, nice.
Because I want to go to Dollywood. And I've been by it, but I've never been there. And I've been to Gatlinburg, I think, once or twice.
Check it off the list.
Yeah, I've been to Nashville. I like Nashville, but Nashville's a big city. You know, But I can go somewhere with a coach, stay there, and then Uber it in or take a trolley into the Dollywood and stuff. But
that'll be fun.
My missions is domestic. I definitely, we have, I have a call for that. I guess, this is a mission. Mission right here, just talking. Yep. And I don't even have to leave my city. Yeah. And then once I get the coach, we'll be sitting in the coach, like in a couch situation, having a conversation with people. Just pull it up and just sit and have a conversation. Yeah. Was that my phone? I don't know what it was. Oh, it's probably my watch. Oh. My watch started talking to me. It's like it heard missions or something. Yeah. It's like, stop listening to me. But, so you get that bug. Yeah. And, what would you say really was the aha moment of that? What drew you? I know that's a hard question.
My parents drew me.
No, because missions is, you got to have a call for it. Because it's like some people aren't called. I'm not called to go to Africa or I can't close to going to Costa Rica. I got my passport, which actually probably expired by now, because I've been here for 7 years. So it's probably 2010. This is 2023. So that was like 13 years ago. I almost went to Costa Rica. I had the deposit and then the trip was canceled. So I never went. But
redemption. Gotta get that.
Yeah. But my missions is, as I said, the United States. One of the things I want to do, and I've talked to Pastor Ken and Pastor Lou and about dealing with the community, is we want to fill the coach up with food, and we can go to a neighborhood. We can go to here, park it, put the music on, have one of those like karaoke. I always call it karaoke, but it's karaoke, whatever they call that thing.
The karaoke.
Karaoke, yeah, that's it. Machines so people could preach, and then we'll make some hamburgers and hot dogs, but we can go to places. Yeah. And also if there's a disaster, say like there's a hurricane in southern Florida, we can load up the coach with food and water. Yeah. And saws and chainsaws and stuff like that. Right. And go down there, a couple of people from the church or the community, and go and help. So that's where I'm led to do.
Yeah.
And then this, sharing the, people throughout the world.
Hey, well, if there's everybody's out there, we need people here. So
right, we need so. All right, so there wasn't any particular other than your mother, and
Yeah, I wouldn't say it started there, but that's kind of where I was like, God was like, okay, this is what it's gonna. This is kind of like, let me show you a little bit. But I feel like being in Haiti was a very drastic situation.
Okay.
I know a lot of people choose to go into fields like that where it's very like tough. I don't feel like I'm cut out to be in that tough environment.
Okay.
But I'm open to anywhere. I do have my heart on places, but when I went to Turkey, that was not anywhere on my list at all. I honestly didn't even think of it as like an option, but when I went there, it was like very toned down. It was almost like a culture shock, not being there, but the difference between like the night and day of Turkey and Haiti.
Right.
And I was in a very like updated part of Turkey. I was in Istanbul, so it was very modern and the city.
Right.
So I wasn't anywhere where, I mean, if you went 30 minutes outside of Istanbul, you would see third world stuff.
Well, it's like Costa Rica. Some of it is very, beachy. And same with Mexico. Some of it is very, but then there's a very desolate, very, where like Rodney goes to, where the people are living in dumps, stuff like that. So every country, even the United States has that. Yeah. All right. So you get in, you got the bug. So what's happening right now? Let's bring it to now. What's going on in your head? Some of the plans that God has put in there, what you're doing as your life, still living at home. What do you really see you're doing right now?
Right now is very up to him.
Yeah.
I'm not great on making decisions, but when he offers me something, that's when I kind of start to get a little more serious about it and we'll have conversations about it.
I sense the word I hear, like you're on a holding pattern.
Yeah,
you're on a holding pattern. It's something that, okay, God, I'm willing to do this.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I heard the word marching instructions.
Yeah.
Like if you're in the military, like, okay, you're waiting to be, like your brother going into the Navy, he's going to be boot camp and then he's going to be deployed somewhere.
Right.
So you're waiting. You're almost the same thing.
I feel like I'm in the boot camp.
You're in the boot. Yes, you're in the boot camp, and you're waiting for your orders. To where he's going to send you.
Yep, that's pretty much it. You know, I don't know where I'm headed. I don't know, but before I left Turkey, I feel like that was my aha moment. I mean, I did have previous trips before, and my one previous trip before, but I think being in Turkey and like, as soon as I got there and we were at the park, like just looking, like finally landing after the 12-hour flight, and like just finally being there, and then I like get to sit at the park with my friends, and I'm like, yeah, this was fun.
Okay,
I'd be here again. I would do it again.
See, at your age, when I was your age, I should say, I was traveling around. I mean, I was up and down the East Coast. I was in Canada. I was early 20s. I was in New York City.
Yeah.
I mean, people like get nervous about, I said, I was driving New York City when I mean, not the buses, but, cars and stuff like that when I was 18 or 19 years old.
Yeah.
To me, that's,
natural.
Even like the guy who's selling me the coach, he says he gets nervous going. So when he says, not me.
Yeah.
I drive a coach like it was my car.
Yeah.
I used to freak people out going to McDonald's because they think a big group of, because this is Greyhound bus style. And people thought a big group was coming. So,
no, that's funny.
So, I mean, but I actually was more comfortable driving a coach so much. I was doing security work for bands. And I was in Albany, New York, and this guy wanted this car moved. It was like a $200,000 car.
Oh boy.
It was a Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, it could not be me.
And they go, hey, who can move his car? I said, I can move it. No problem. I had no problem. He says, my bus is $300,000.
Yeah.
He says, that's only, a little less.
Yeah.
So I got in and it started talking to me.
Right.
In the car.
That's funny.
But the thing was that I what we call a natural. I mean, I haven't driven a coach. I mean, when I get my coach later this year, it will be the first time I've driven since like 1994. And I've driven buses, like school buses and other buses, but I haven't really driven a coach.
Yeah.
And this thing is a 40-foot diesel pusher coach.
Yeah.
It's a bus, you know.
Yeah, it'd be like riding the bike, though.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, I was a natural. I used to train people. I was certified in the state of Massachusetts. And I had one driver, and I always tell the story many times. He's long since dead, so he can't complain that I'm telling his story. Is I asked my boss if I could revoke his driver's license.
Oh.
Because he was bad.
Yeah.
And then I had a girl. She was 21. I probably was 25 or something. And we're still friends. And she was a natural. And she helped me actually write a book to help the drivers pass their test.
Oh,
and she was like what do they call it? Like the, not co-author, but the proofreader and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
And like I said, we're still friends today, you know, and she actually still working. The company's changed names, but she's still working with the company now I left I moved to Florida in 94. So she was working there, and I started working there at 88. So she's been working there since 1988.
Wow. Good for her.
You know, she's way up there in seniority. I think she's probably at the top. She has to be.
Oh, for sure.
Because, you know.
Not even driving buses anymore. Yeah, she's just sitting there.
She's sitting there and stuff like that. So what do you, I mean, I know you're on a holding pattern, but what do you sense? What are you kind of sensing? It's kind of like maybe a little bit, it's like I see a picture of like you're looking outside and it's cloudy. I mean, not cloudy, but foggy out. You can still see some things, but you don't see everything in perfect detail yet.
Yeah.
Do you sense any of that thing going on in your life then? There's a picture, but it's a little cloudy or a little foggy.
I know I'm supposed to leave soon, and I get this like unsettling feeling because, you know, like I'm trying to be established at where I'm at, you know, with my work and living here in Florida, but also not too established because I don't want to like have rent to do like at my own house and be like, oh wait, I'm supposed to go somewhere else for a couple of months, and then how am I supposed to pay my rent, you know?
Right.
So it's a very uncomfortable like setting that I'm in. I'm trying to make the best of it, but before I did leave Turkey, it was so funny. I was sitting at the table, and the way their house is set up is there's the table, and then off to the side is their living room. It's like open concept kind of thing. So we were sitting there. I was at the table, and the guy I was staying with, him and his wife, he was sitting at the table, and
I'm glad that you clarified.
Yeah, I didn't want to make it weird.
I said the guy I was with, you know.
Yeah, he was sitting on the couch, and we were all just watching shows, and we were talking, and I had this thought, and I don't think it was my thought, but I think it was God speaking to me. He was like, you know, you're not going to be, because I was about to go home, and he was saying you won't be there long, so don't get too settled. And then not even, you know, before I could think my next thought, this guy over here, he's like, you know, you're not going to be there long. I wanted you to tell you that because God told me to tell you that. And I was like, okay. And then I get
confirmation.
Home, and then I get home, and my dad's like, yeah, you know, you're not going to be here that long. And there was a couple other people that said that too. And I was like, yeah, I know. Thanks.
Right.
He told me firsthand, but I got you.
Well, it's just good. Well, God does that. Because he'll speak to you. You're his kid. Yeah. And he'll tell you, and then he'll confirm it with other people and other things that you're meant to. That's what I'm called you for. You know, I mean, we all have a purpose. We're not all, you know, people think that, okay, I'm called to just go to church and go, no. Yeah. We're not. We all have something. We have something. We just maybe not listening to God, and we're choosing not to do it, or we're not ready for it yet. Yeah. You know, for whatever reason. Yeah. You know, and, you know, it's like, okay, we're going to spend the rest of our life doing what we want or what God wants. Right. So, you know, it's like that. So, but, okay, that's cool. Yeah. And, you know, as I said, you know, we could sit down here another year from now or 2 years from now if you're around and I'm around, or if you're in the United States, I'll find you and we can say what God is. You know, it's like if I can drive my coach there, we'll meet up. Right. You know, but in closing, because we've been going for a good amount of time, which is good. The conversation's been awesome. Yeah. We have not lacked of words. Yeah. So, I mean, from both of us, I mean, you know, you're easy to talk to, which is a good thing. So, and I keep the ship going on the right direction, and we're bringing it back and forth. We didn't get sidetracked too bad. What would you say to somebody that's listening that is, you know, a teenager in the 20s, about hearing God? What would you tell them? You know, Is that people outside?
I think so.
That's
like a little party down there.
Oh, wow. Okay. What would you say to somebody that, maybe is doubting the fact that they hear God?
I would say you're not. I think one thing I learned definitely was that God has his own timing, and it's not always going to line up with when you want it, and you can yell and scream and kick and know, whatever, and it's just not the timing that he has, and you have to remember that his timing is perfect. So as long as you keep that in mind, and I think that also comes with faith.
Right.
Just having trust and faith that his timing is going to be perfect, and whether you think it is or isn't, you can't make him say whatever you want him to say.
Right.
So when he has something to tell you, he'll tell you. He's not listening to you, or he's not, it's not like he can't hear you. He can hear you, but his response comes at a specific time for you to line up with his what he wants to see for your life. So I think that's something to just hold on to, because I've yelled and screamed at God, like, why aren't you talking to me? Why aren't you saying this and that? And why aren't you confirming these things in my life? And then like 3 years down the road, he'll answer something for me.
Right.
And so it's because of that timing that he has, that he answered that for me. And I think because he answered it at that time, my faith builded a little bit, because he didn't forget about what I had asked about him.
Right.
Asked him about.
Right.
So,
Oh, that's cool. That's good. All right. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
I love this. What I want you to do is pray for your generation. Maybe to open their hearts, maybe accept the fire, accept the call, things like that. And then when you're done prayer and we say amen, then I'll just close the show and welcome and thank you and stuff like that. So let's go into just a little bit of prayer and pray for those things.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all the wonderful things that you have planned for us, not just me and not just Kevin, but for the people that are listening, the people that aren't listening, Father, but all your children, that you have a plan for them. God, I just ask that you continue to work on their faith, continue to build their faith in you, and give them people in their lives that they can have confirmations with and have conversations with about things that they're wondering or struggling with. And God, just give them comfort during times that they feel comfortless and that they need affirmation. So, Father, I just pray for my generation, and I ask that you continue to build the fire within their hearts and continue to pursue them, God, because they want to be pursued. And so, Father, just I pray for them, and continue to do their work and continue to do your work in their lives. And Father, I just ask for grace, I guess. I ask for, patience and just rest assurance. I think that's one thing that my generation can do, is we can build relationships with each other, and that is deep. And so, Father, I just ask that be something that they have with you, and that continue to be strong in their lives. In Jesus' name.
Thank you, Lord. Keep sensing the word fire. Let the fire burn and let it explode in your generation.
Yeah.
Let it be exploding that the old folks catch it.
Yeah. Don't be too troubled.
Yeah. That, they have a desire for the presence of God.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, hey, everybody, you've been listening to the Millennium Beat with your host, Kevin James. I am here with Hannah Culver. Thank you, Hannah, for being. We have had a great conversation. Everybody else, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same time and same channel. God bless. This has been a Millennium Beat production. Views and opinions of the guest aren't not always the views and opinions of the Millennium Beat. I want to introduce you to a new program we are starting in 2023. It is a program where people can contribute, sponsor, or become a super sponsor to help support what we do at the Millennium Beat. We are also developing a partner program to help reach our goals of reaching people. More information will be on our website, where you can fill out a form to become a sponsor or partner and make payments directly to us from our website.